Well, hello, folks, and welcome to my first devlogs for this new game project. Um, Within this vlog, I will basically tell you about what I done so far within this project. It just started really. What I have done, what I plan on doing, and also how it made me feel so far, and also starting off about how I started it. So let's go with how I started this project. So it was a little over a week ago. It was a Friday that I was deciding of what I wanted to do or whatever. And I've also noticed that the Steam Winter Sale was still in act, and RPG Maker products were on sale at that time. So I wanted to do was get RPG Maker MC, and I had funds for for it at that moment. So I went and saw how much it was, whatever, and then I decided to do was make a list about the pros and cons of my different projects that I want to do with this excess funds that I do have that I can use um, to go on with this. Which one am I going to do? So I chose was the gaming project for one simple reason: economics. Not because its startup cost was much lower, that's true, but the real reason is from all of these different project ideas I had, I was thinking, what is the most viable for me at the moment, and basically which one's going to make me the most money. I'm not expecting multi billions and millions of dollars. I'm just expecting is a base income to where it supports my dumb ass. It just covers me, just for living. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What I'm going for. It's economics and time, and also its upfront cost. These factors is what comes down to why I chose this. And then with all the list of all the different games that I wanted to do, and a lot of them were really expensive and way too broad. So I had to do was cut down with a new kind of story idea, and I was thinking about a lot of old school RPGs and JRPGs where the towns on the world map, it looks like the towns and cities are more big and vibrant, and then when you actually go to them, there's only a few buildings, which is kind of irritating of me back when I was a kid and stuff, and you know, it's like I understand it was the limitation of the systems and stuff. I understand about that. I understand it then. I understand now, but it's still like, uh, you know. Oh well. So I decided to do was this project to be a role playing game. Like more or less a JRPG that's very much in line with you know, uh, with the original Final Fantasy. And I wanted to have more of a Final Fantasy battle system for random encounters, but I was also thinking about of having an ARG format like Chrono Trigger or Chrono Cross and such. Yeah, or the Mama series. You going around fighting it. It's a role playing game that's action based and whatever. I like that kind of aspect, of the dichotomies of these battle systems. I want to implement both of them really in some ways, or maybe just choose one or the other. I decided that the whole game is going to take place in one massive city with multiple maps, so it's broken up into multiple maps and multiple levels of interest, hidden secrets and whatnot that you can go into all these buildings, not just the buildings that are a shop for whatever particular thing. I want to have multiple shops and stuff and having all these aspects of different things, and I figured, okay, I can finish the game with the limited items that are necessary for a game to function, but all the extras that I want, I will release it later after it gets released. After its original Steam release, the add-ons will just be updates for the game, such as having the other systems that I want to attach and whatnot. But the base game will have all these maps and whatever, just not just for the city. I want the game to be a rich story-driven RPG with ARPG battle mechanics, or maybe having the battle mechanics more like an active battle system, like the original series of Final Fantasies. The old school Final Fantasies that was for the Famicom and Super Famicom. Because I want to go for that kind of aesthetic, of the pixelated sprites. Yay. And as I was working on this, of deciding of what I want and not, and it was getting kind of like daunting in some ways. So the first week, my whole entire plan was, okay, start making the sprites. To get the sprite sheet that I want was an RPG Maker, because I'm using its original sprite sheets and assets as templates. So it's easier, like, okay, here's the assets and templates and whatever that I can use to make my assets and such. So that's my whole plan to do so, is to do that. Yay. But here's the thing. I'm used to working with RPG Maker XP, the Japanese version, because that's the one that I've used. The prior version of that was the original Super Nintendo North American English release of RPG Maker, which predates the release of the PlayStation 1's RPG Maker. I've worked all the way with the Super Nintendo one, which is basically the English translation of the original Japanese Super Famicom version of RPG Maker. Go fig. So, with XP, I could do is use its assets and find its assets with its asset folders and stuff, and easily do this without doing what MZ wants you to do. So here's the thing: since I bought the game, the game engine, RPG Maker MZ through Steam hid it, or at least onto my laptop, it hidden somewhere. So trying to find it where it is, and then also trying to find where my damn Steam folder is, because it was also hidden within the hierarchy of BS within my system, and trying to find it exactly was daunting. And also I'm nearsighted, and the laptop wants to shrink everything, and then Microsoft with their so-called updates and so-called fixes that basically screw up shit. So my whole entire time, for several days after deciding on Sunday, of that I want to start the project, and it's going to be, get MZ, and buy it, and how to download it, and then work on for a few days for just this to update stuff. And then I've been having problems recently, like a few days ago. I had to do some more updates and whatever, because the touchscreen wasn't working and whatnot. Got everything fixed. There was a lot of problems to deal with software wise. That was the biggest problem. It wasn't like, the MZ was badly made. No, it's Microsoft and its updates, and then trying to get other updates by my laptop company that fixes Microsoft's so-called fixes, and bugs and whatever, or features. Yeah, fix everything to where it's running properly. Yeesh. Oh well. And finding out that you have to do is create a new project, and that's when it releases all of the assets that are hidden, because even finding where MZ is actually located within my Steam folders and finding out where the Steam folders are actually in my laptop. Yeesh. By the way, the little icon just only, on the desktop, only triggers to the website, the Steam page to launch it. It's like, this is to click that's on the Steam page. So it's like kind of irritating I know it downloaded it, but it's all associated to internet. It's like, why? Kind of ridiculous problems that I have. Oh God. Oh. Like if it was a game, I wouldn't really mind, but since this is a program, game engine that I'm working on and working with, I need to know where it is and its assets and all this other shite. And then finding out that even when you do know where it is, it's all hidden away, it's locked away, you have no access to it. And the only way to unlock a lot of this stuff was actually starting a new project. And then finding out where the new project came, and finding out where all this stuff was hidden and stuff. I Googled the damn stuff. I Googled it, and Google did actually gave me the correct information about where it's located of all those things. It's like, oh God. And all of my issues with that. And to fix a lot of other problems that I need to, I also had to do was get into an administration mode, which, by the way, my profile that I use, to get in, into my computer and stuff, my user account is an administration account. So I needed was the built-in administrator to actually be the administrator. Oh God. And it was never established or whatever, never logged in ever. I know I had was an admin account, when I first got this damn thing, but it disappeared, and then I had to figure out on my own, like trying to remember everything that I used to do with DOS commands and whatever, and using CMD. It's like, oh God, remembering of that. That's kind of what I did with the first week, was that. All this stuff. I had to work with this and to get administration back on and whatever, to do fixes and changing the admin's its password and stuff like that. So I have full access to everything. It's nuts. All this trouble. No, I never had this problem when I was working with XP. The only problem was, what do I create? That was the only thing. And then my imagination went wild with the original XP. And at least with MZ, it's a little more functional for being able to release your projects, export them to different outlets and stuff, which I do like. That's kind of the reason why I went with MZ, because it's the latest one, has all the bells and whistles and stuff like that. But at least I can do is put in the assets into the project itself. So I wouldn't have my whole list of assets clogging up the system to, like, in case if I get a new project, it will only have the base set, and then I can import new assets that are just for that particular game project. So I can have different assets separating the projects that way, which I do like, which is also kind of irritating as well, but at least it's an irritation that is for the betterment of making games better, or at least making games more efficiently for myself in some ridiculous weird way, you know. Eesh. Oh well. The huge learning curves and stuff. Plus I haven't used, RPG makers since XP of 2004. So, and it was the Japanese version that I used. So yay. Oh well. Well, 4. I have the English version now, but of MZ, but no well. So there was that learning curve. My next thing was okay, like the layout is strange and trying to figure out everything else. So I did was research with videos to teach me like the tutorials. I know there's a built-in tutorial because that was the first thing I saw. I really did not want to mess up the first project with going in with the tutorial and doing all the tutorial. I might do that later, but I was looking on YouTube for all the basic information that I was looking for the moment, mainly on the things that I needed to know. What I need to do, whatever, to start doing things. And my whole thing was also to create assets. Like the first week I wanted to get done right off the bat was get the program, get the assets, use them as templates, the original assets, use them as templates, which I'm doing, and port them onto my iPad and use Procreate to draw. And here's the problem that I had with this. Let me tell you. I can connect my iPad to my laptop, but here's the thing. It only allows a one-way thing. So basically, all of my images that are on my iPad that are within my gallery, those are the only things that the laptop can see. And I can make copies from the iPad that are photos and videos and whatever, anything that's in my gallery, to my laptop. But I can't transpose it the other way around. Won't let me. Like, oh, God. So trying to go through Google Drive. And then since the latest updates with iPad is, I've noticed now that it's now a hassle trying to download stuff from Drive onto my iPad. Because before I could just go into folders, or files technically, go under files, and then click on where it says Drive, which is my Google Drive, go through that. It unlocks it, so I have access to my Drive, and I could do is select the things and send it to where I want. Now it doesn't work that way. Now what I have to do is go online through the browser, go into Google Drive through the browser, and then go into files, then go to that drive on files, and then I have to do is hold down, and drag them into on my iPad, and put in the correct folders. Because the option, even online, it says click the 3 dots on the side of whatever you want to download. That you had an option to download the stuff. It didn't do shit. Even under files of the Google Drive, the Google Drive labeling there for access there on under files. That too would not let me just download it, because before I could easily download it and give me a drop menu to send it where I want it, Nope, now I have to physically hold, and click and drag it to there, but, using my finger, like, God. More and more steps, making it more and more irritating. Yeesh. And while I'm irritated with this and things aren't working or whatever, till I finally got it to. But I decided, you know what? Why don't I just do what I usually did? Use Gimp. And I thought I had Gimp on here. And finding out I don't have Gimp on my laptop. So all I had to do was download Gimp all over again. Oh, God. And when I was downloading it, this is around the time that I was having the problems with things not working, like MZ wasn't working, Gimp wasn't working, it kept on crashing because of the updates and whatever with Windows. And I had to get new updates and unlock administration control. That was all going on around that time, and admin was more recent problems because I had problems with the touchscreen and whatever, and some other issues and that was just this weekend on with the admin part. But a lot of the other stuff was trying to get the information and whatnot. Ugh. Oh well. And also I had was a side project idea that I wanted to do was this weird cozy game where it starts off being one particular game until you find out with a greater part of this that it's kind of going into other genres of games on purpose, and you can easily transpose your character from one to another, within this game world. I thought that would be a good idea to implement it later. So, trying to get the assets and whatever, and getting everything, and doing some basic research, and finding a lot of information of other videos that would be useful for me later on within development, because I really just wanted to do was assets. And I also was looking for other game assets for other games that I was interested in, of looks and feels and whatever, and using that as inspiration and guides for what I want to do. So that's what I was doing. Was most of it was like kind of research and part of research and development. Ugh. So I'm doing all this, and the problems with my laptop and all these other ridiculous things, it just felt like I was so defeated. Like everything was working against me, and I was able to start working on some assets and whatever to get things working. So I was starting to do this and also getting some roadblocks, whatever. So here's the thing. I've noticed that this game is really daunting, even when I just wanted to say, okay, it's going to be a city. The whole entire world is one city, and I'm going to right now just work on the characters. And this week I wanted to do was work on the tile assets, for background and stuff. And I was also trying to find out about parallaxing and some of the other things. I found out the information about what is parallaxing with an RPG Maker and how it's done, because I wanted to know how it's done, because I'm going to end up implementing it, It's not just parallax backgrounds, but also of adding your own flare of detail, so you don't have to have like specific tile sheets just for one map, which you can. But one of them, the quickest way was basically make it is a prototype of, let's say, the map that you're working on. use the base materials that are already there. And instead of making a tile sheet, you take that into your image editor like Photoshop or Gimp or Pixelated or whatever, maybe Procreate, whatever. I haven't seen anybody try to do it with Procreate, but I'll probably be the first that might release some stuff to showcase about what I've done. Yeah. By the way, I'm working on my assets in Gimp and also in Procreate, because at least with Procreate I can draw with my stylus, my pencil. Technically, it's not an Apple Pencil, but it works exactly the same as an Apple Pencil. Same functionalities. Yay! And it's rechargeable, and I got a couple of them, so fully charged. So if one dies, I could switch off to the next one. That's also sync with it. Just turn it on, it's sync automatically. And use it. Yay! And plus, these pins are also usable for Apple devices like iPad and Mac OS, but also for PCs and Android. Yay! Which is kind of cool. Oh. Oh well. So that's basically what I'm dealing with. Most of it is, just getting the information and getting other assets as inspiration, and also as templates of what to do and whatever. So that's basically what I'm going for. And also trying to decide like what kind of battle system, because I like is the Final Fantasy active battle system that it has, and the other of the original sets of Final Fantasy from the Famicom all the way to the Super Famicom of pixelated Final Fantasy games, which that's what I'm going for aesthetic wise, not really towards the battle system of Dragon Quest, aka Dragon Warrior. An ARPG battle system more in lines of, let's say, like Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, or even like the original Legend of Zelda. There's also other features I want to add, but that would be later. But I was deciding like which battle system I want to use, or a mix of the two, because there was other things that I want to do that would require an ARPG format of battle system, of functionality to do. So I might be both with this, That's what I'm dealing with. In my time frame about what I want to do, I was expecting to get my art assets like the first week was do sprites and stuff like that, because I have a lot of character sprites that I have to make, which I'm still making, by the way, and then assets for what I need for the demo, and later on, because all this was okay. What I'm going for is the base sets that is going to be for the demo release of the game, which I was expecting like everything done would take about a month to a month and a half, no more than 2 months at most. But basically, my deadline was do this in 30 days. Do as much as I can, as fast as I can, to get is a stable demo of this game. So, basic gameplay, not really the story added yet, like the dialogue, maybe some functionality of the story-wise, but you would have is your demo character to basically use to, move around in the maps that will be released of the game, of the demo version, with also some basic quests to do within, to get used to of what kind of things that's going to be seen, and enemies that you're going to face and whatever. And also hidden Easter eggs within the demo to showcase, like, here's all of the other um, assets that I'm working on at the moment. So you have, views of different maps and characters that are being worked on at this moment with information that hasn't been technically fully implemented in the demo, but that's how it's going to be implemented. It's like allow you to play a usable demo, but also have Easter eggs too, where you have is a hidden area where you could view all the stuff that is under development and specifying what more is going to come, and also telling you what the story is of the game, of the different characters that I'm still writing, by the way. Going through of each of the characters, of the startup characters, of what each one of their stories is, because I want that they'll have their own story beats and whatever, their own events and whatnot. I want it to be very similar to Uncharted Waters New Horizon for the Super Nintendo, aka Super Famicom. Because I happen to like that game, I want it to be like that. I also want is that your startup of when you choose like what character you want, you have a list of characters. When I do release the game, I want it to be about 4 to 6 characters that you get to choose from, just as your starting character, which one of them. Because each one of them has their own background story, has their own story arc, and has their own events, sequences, and stuff. Their own quests and whatever. And they have their own different starting points. So you don't all start in the same exact little weird spot. It's more like Uncharted Waters New Horizon is, with how they've done it. Because I wanted to do it very similar to that. Yay. With also kind of like the trade economic systems of that game and other games that I happen to like, such as Saga Frontier for the PlayStation. Yay. So that's what I'm going for a lot of the other gameplay mechanics is with that, and same thing with storytelling. I want it to be a very rich, detailed storytelling where all the characters that are playable and stuff that can join your party, they can be found within the game and stuff. And they have their own different events and whatnot. That's just what I want to do. And I want kind of more of the bases would be released on release day, and all the other aspects of the game that I want to also include would be later releases through updates. So there will be free updates, no paid DLCs. I don't want to do that. I just want it to continue its original narrative and flesh out the game even further with updates. Because I figured if I put it out, then people will buy it and it'll be a complete game unto itself, but with also added material that will come in sections. Think of each little update will be like a season of a TV show, more or less. Big moved up, or more like episodes, extra episodes that are going to continue. Like, yay! So that was the whole thing about that. Other than that, my time frame is changing. So, anyways, with the release of the demo, here's my plan with that. When I release the demo, I'm also going to do is have a Kickstarter program Kickstarter campaign, I should say, where uh, you can download for free. You don't have to, donate to get the demo. It'll be open to anybody to play, to view and stuff. It's the demo is there to promote what is this game going to be, and the Kickstarter is to help me raise up funds to pay for said game, including whatever bills that are going to be coming, to basically help me with finances and stuff like this for creating this game, and also to help pay for releasing it on Steam and stuff. And that's the reason why for the Kickstarter is basically to pay for all the stuff behind the scenes and whatnot. And I'll have is a reasonable, donation, donation level that is for basically if you to get the game. When it gets released, you will get as a Steam key to basically get a copy of the game when it's released, And my whole aspect is that after like copywriting and all that, and also paying for Steam to release it and stuff like that, to put it on Steam and paying for all the fees for it and whatnot. So that's what the Kickstarter is going to do, is pay for all that stuff and other expenses. So when that's all said and done, and it's going to have its official release date on Steam, that's when I will notify to all of the patrons and whatever, and everybody else that donated it to the Kickstarter program and stuff, or project, I should say, of its date and whatnot. I'll have like a fixated date, and before that time happens, whatever, I'll have is a finished, stable, finished version for release. I'll put up updates on within the Steam page, Steam page later on when I do that. And same thing with the Kickstarter. I'll have is updates of specifying, yes, this is what is going on, and with showcasing, like, here are whatever assets and what things that I did finish and what was able to effectuate for the base game. So that is like my plans so far, and I'll let you know in other devlogs about what's going to change and what hasn't and what's going on. My next devlog, I'll edit it and showcase all of the art assets that I've done so far, and also some of the earlier designs. That's in the next vlog. So until then, bye-bye!